Welcome to the Crown Council Practice of the Month. In the Crown Council spirit of copying genius and sharing the best of what you're doing with others, we take the opportunity on a regular basis to visit Crown Council members and their teams in their own environment to see where they work, what they do, and how they do it. Our goal? To give you an up-close and personal experience with other Crown Council members in their own environment so you can learn from their experience and continually improve your own team and practice. During these programs, you'll hear some background on the dentist, see a brief tour of the office, but more importantly, you'll experience conversations with the doctor and team about what they do that helps them deliver great dentistry, serve their patients in a special way, and the things they do that set them apart in their patients' minds. We hope this will help you get to know your fellow Crown Council members in a new way, give you some new ideas on how you can do what you do even better, as well as inspire you and your team to continually find ways to improve your quality of care, your patient service, and the environment in which you work every day. So once again, welcome to the Crown Council Practice of the Month. It's just one more place where the best dentists unite and give.
And that was right after graduation. I graduated in June and opened that practice in August of 1967. It was a traditional practice of the day, and most members of the Crown Council don't go back that far. Some do. But in those days, the dentists practiced Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday was always the day off, and we worked a half a day on Saturday because people had to come on Saturdays. And we would do an examination, sit down across the desk from a patient with the doctor on one side of the desk and the patient on the other, and a view box. We'd look at their x-rays, tell them what they needed, and they'd say, "Yes, sir. Just tell me how to pay." And there were no credit cards. There was no insurance. That was an era of you do what the doctor says without question. And as we all know, times have changed. Significantly changed, and I think that, again, if we have not changed our outlook on how we approach people, how we sense their need of wanting to know why something needs to be done and how urgently it needs to be done and what are the benefits, that's the era we're in now. And if we don't realize that, we're really losing out on our opportunities to serve people in the way they deserve to and want to be served. I think really the success of this practice, including and in the future, has been the team members. And I came out of dental school, as I think many do, thinking that I had to be the boss and I had to be in charge of everything. And at those times in 1967, there was maybe one or two hygienists in our whole county. So I started out doing the prophies and the perio treatment, and felt that I was the only one that could do that adequately. The kind of attitudes you come out of dental school with, and I think maybe still today people come out that way. So there was a front desk person and one dental assistant and myself, and so we were doing 10-15-minute prophies. That transition into getting one of those two dental hygienists and then two of those two dental hygienists into our office was a significant change, made us different. At first there was resistance. People said, "Oh, I got to have the doctor's got to clean my teeth. He's always cleaned it." But when I let go and let those hygienists build a relationship and let the team build a relationship with people instead of feeling like I had to be the one in charge, I think that was the beginning of an evolution of commitment to team, commitment to their training, commitment to trusting them even when they made mistakes, to be the liaison or the real communicator in the office is probably and still is the most important thing in the success and growth of our practice. For as long as I can remember, actually, from the time we switched from being the traditional Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the golf course, Thursday, Friday, and half a day Saturday in the dental office, putting in amalgams, from the time we transitioned out of that to having a real team and offering trust and responsibility and opportunity of involvement and growth for team members, we've committed a full day on Thursdays, working Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with patients, and a full day on Thursdays to team training and development, of which the team is involved in. It's not the doctor sitting down and conducting a meeting, but the team takes responsibility for those days and suggestions on what they feel is appropriate for their development. People always ask, what do you do for a whole day? Because the norm is to have a lunch once a month together, and the team buys their lunch. But if I calculated what people might assume is lost revenue by committing a whole day, if you're figuring maybe $15,000 a day for this office now in production, and they commit that day once a week, $15,000 a week to team training development, they say, oh, there's no way you can get a return on that investment. But my answer would be there's no way that we could have that kind of return on the other 3 days that we're involved with patients if we didn't make that investment in team. I think I could add to that the fact that as I look at the team now and their structure, and I think of the team in past years, there's only one person on this team of 12 women who ever worked in a dental office prior to coming to this team. And so that's a challenge as well as an opportunity, because all of these women are hired not by an ad, but by personal referral from another team member or people that we have waiting in the wings that want to work here that have not had dental experience, but we hire for personality, for maturity, for personal strength, and those kind of qualities that you cannot train, because we know that the things they need to do here in our front deskless office can be learned in a very short time if they're mature, able, skilled individuals to begin with. We moved into this facility in 1979, as I previously mentioned. 5 years later, 1984, we took out the front desk, committed ourselves to more personal interactions. 2 years later, we decided it was time to commit to a higher level of restorative care, because we know the quality of care that our patients are getting, even if they don't. And I think for the most part they don't. I think all dentists would agree with that. We in our own hearts and minds have to know that we're giving them the kind of care restoratively and preventively that we'd give to our own family. And at the time that we made a decision to eliminate amalgam from our practice, there was a lot of discussion about the health hazards of amalgam. There were people that were measuring mercury content, people in Las Vegas who were diagnosing severe physical ailments that they felt were related to mercury vapors in the mouth. They were measuring those mercury vapors. They were referring people out specifically to remove amalgams in a specific order from different areas of the mouth. We had patients come here that we did that for. But I don't think there was anybody who was in higher echelons who was convinced that mercury vapor coming from dental amalgams was a significant health hazard. For certain, the ADA wasn't going to admit that because that was a big liability. But we knew that there were materials that were better for the tooth, more easier to floss and clean, a lot more longer lasting, that we wanted to commit ourselves to. And if there was a health hazard for us as dental workers, I had a friend who had a severe medical problem. An assistant of his spilled a whole bottle of mercury on the carpet in the office underneath the dental chair. She cleaned it up best she could, didn't say anything to anyone, and him, through breathing those vapors over a number of months, did develop some physical problems. But whether the amalgam was causing mercury vapor in the mouth or not, which was significant for health hazard, we didn't really know. But there were better reasons to eliminate amalgam, and so we decided to do it, just because the quality of care would be better. To make a symbol of that, to commit ourselves visually as well as mentally, we took all 3 of the amalgamators that we had in the office. We went out, we had a ceremony during one of our team days on Thursday. We dug a hole in the garden out here in front of the office. We had the whole team was there. We sang songs. We dropped in the amalgamators. We put the earth over it. I had been to the vault company and had a headstone made with the date of that team meeting on it. And we placed the headstone. We all said a prayer that this was the end of that. And so it was a significant emotional event for everybody in the office, and one that signified commitment to a different standard of care. And with our commitments at PAC Live and a number of other hands-on courses, we have continually from that day forward tried to commit ourselves to a higher level of care. I think that was the beginning of that, which has become a foundation for the standard of care in this office. There may be a few Crown Council members who will remember the name Dr. Robert Barkley. He was an icon in preventive dentistry and was the instigator, along with a couple of other fellows that I knew, of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry back in the late 70s. And his commitment was that we all needed to learn to take care of ourselves. At that point in time, and I think still in 90% of the dental offices across the country, children come in, they plop in the chair, and somebody runs a rubber cup around their mouth and puts in a fluoride tray, or puts on fluoride varnish, or they do a rinse. But Dr. Barkley was committed, and he was from Macomb, Illinois, killed untimely at a young age in an airplane accident. But he was committed to having us all realize that people needed to learn to care for themselves, and they could get their teeth just as clean themselves as a hygienist could get their teeth cleaned, except for hard deposits that some get and some don't of calculus. And that mothers needed to take care of their children, floss and brush their teeth until they were old enough to do it on their own, which is usually at about the age that they can go into their room, go in their closet, pick out something to wear and put it on and look decent. And that was kind of a judge of when they could take care of themselves. So we started a program based on his principles where children never, and still it's today in our office, and that was back in the 70s, early 70s, before we moved into this office, as I mentioned, in the bathroom, the converted bathroom, that children until they're usually 11 or 12 and old enough to start getting any hard deposits, clean their own mouth. They do a directed self-cleaning. Until they're old enough to do it themselves, the mothers come in with them and do it for them. And the child is laid in the mother's lap, with their head back in the lap so that mother can look down in and floss and brush their teeth. It's great for children to do their own, but they have to be followed up by the mother. And the goal, of course, is 0 cavities. And so we have a non-hygienist person who you'll get to meet, Angie, see the room where she works, who does self-cleanings directed by her, with previously having them disclosed with disclosing solution, finding out where they're missing at home or where their mother's missing, and cleaning their own mouths, and then she applies fluoride there. They never see a hygienist. They never get a rubber cup. They know when they go to the dentist to get their teeth cleaned, they're going to do it. Because people over and over come in and, oh, I got to have my teeth cleaned. I got to go see my hygienist. But they need to know from the time they're this young that they can make their teeth feel just as slick and smooth themselves as the hygienist. And so that was the basis of the whole program. And also, I think great relationships are built with those children, and it creates some uniqueness that doesn't happen in a pedodontic office, and some feeling of self-worth and power for our own health in the minds of young children, which has been carried on into adulthood. Mine and Frances's commitments in life for ever again since the mid-70s has been to always have a ongoing plan for our life. We were committed that we wouldn't just be sailing off into the sunset and whatever happened to us was okay. And I think most of us go through life with that attitude. Whatever happens, it'll be okay and I'll make it work. We want to be more proactive, and we've been that way with our children. We've tried to teach that to them. And so from the mid-70s, we've always had a vision that we've upgraded and changed, because things come up, stuff happens, and so you have to make changes in your plans. And we've always met as a couple, at least a couple times a year for an extended period of time to review what that plan is. An important part of our plan that I think Crown Council members need to get in their own lives is a plan for when are you going to transition out of dentistry, or when are you going to transition to a new phase of dentistry. When on your calendar are you going to start the back nine? Golf is a part of my life, and you always know that after the 9th hole you're going to be on the back nine, and you get a chance for a fresh start and something new. That might be dentistry, but dentistry is a whole lot different to you if you've been monitoring, you've decided how much is enough financially in your life, and you can start that back nine knowing that you're 6 under par, and so you can bogey almost every hole in the back nine and still come out smelling like a rose at 72. 72 is par in golf for those, usually, those if you don't know. So I think to have that plan in mind, and we did have it in mind, we had to make some adjustments. And since 2004, man, I've been around so long I can't even keep the years straight. Since 2004, I've not been in the office doing clinical dentistry. But we had plans in place for many years before that would keep us involved in dentistry, because the relationships that we'd made, our family, our friends were all in dentistry. So we set up a humanitarian foundation that we knew would have an opportunity to continue us in dentistry, for me to have an opportunity to serve others through dentistry. We set up our Learning Curves organization, which would give us, as a family, opportunities to meet new people in dentistry and keep involved in dentistry. Gave me a commitment to keep up on what was new in dentistry. Frances and I still go to the midwinter meeting in Chicago every year. And people say, what are you doing here? Because I want to know what's going on in the profession I love. That's part of our back nine. And it took a plan. Now, for many people, their back nine might be continuing to be in dentistry, but when they hit hole number 9, they know that they're financially independent. And it doesn't matter whether that patient accepts the case you presented or not. It won't matter to you, because you don't need that income. You practice dentistry on a completely different level, with a completely different mindset and feeling in your heart, that you're just there to, your responsibility, your job is to tell them what they need, and whether they accept it or not is completely different. I know from my own experience, because we hit that financial independence before I clicked clinical dentistry, that the case presentation success rate goes up very, very steeply as soon as you know that you don't need to do that case to feed the children at home, because people can feel that. And so the sooner you can determine how much is enough, and then monitor so you know you've reached that, I think the more success and enjoyment you'll get from dentistry. So I just encourage our Crown Council members to take some time and think about where they are, where they want to be, and how that can affect their future. Change in our lives, whether it's in our family, in our marriage, in our wardrobe, in the motorcycle we ride. I get a new one every 5 years, and I never sell one, so my garage is getting overstocked. But change is a constant in this world today, and it gives us a rejuvenation, a revitalization to have significant changes. And And so now I left this practice 4 years ago, and when we hit 5 years, there'll be a new building. And again, a signal that change has to occur on a regular basis. And so we've had those kinds of significant changes no longer than 5 years. There's always somebody coming in to remodel and change and do something.